Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again, hour number 2. We are now streaming live on X on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Find us on socials at WI Sports Radio. Whether that's Instagram, Facebook, X, or on YouTube, streaming live there as well. We are broadcasting live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Thanks to those of you listening in the Green Bay and Appleton area, WNFL 99.7 FM. Listening in Wausau, a 93.9 The Game. Duluth and Superior area, 710 The Game. And, of course, in Milwaukee on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan. Joining us now, one of my favorites, Sojourn Shelton II, former Badger DB. Part of the Money Down podcast and the Believe in Network. Sojourn, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
No problem, Sparky. Appreciate you for having me on here. I caught a little bit of the segment before this. I heard you was real passionate about that conversation. That was a good one.
So yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate the love. Now, Sojourn and I, we were talking to each other multiple times last year during the Badger football season. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to put you in a rough situation. It hasn't been that great of a season, so forth. And then last week, again, for the first time this year, I reached out to Matt Bernstein. I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. And Matt was very passionate about how he feels about this whole thing. And I was like, okay, well, I want to see kind of where Sojourn is on this whole situation as well. I guess your overall feelings on what you played, the teams you played with versus what you're watching, like, does there seem to be a talent disparity? Because they've quit recruiting Wisconsin altogether, it appears, for the most part. They barely recruit Wisconsin. The top kids are going to Notre Dame, Ohio State, or are going everywhere else. And that was something Matt brought up, like, instead of wasting all your time recruiting a 5-star kid in Florida, maybe focus in Illinois and Wisconsin and closer to home on those 4-star kids and 3-star kids versus them being second and third options when, the 5-star kid doesn't come through. What do you think of the situation?
I think you just have to have a diverse and be able to go in different areas. I think like the state of Wisconsin, Illinois, that whole Midwest area, Ohio, you got to be able to grab, like you talked about, the 3-star, the 4-star kids. Because there's a lot of guys that I played with in my time that were 3 stars, 2 stars, and was able to come in and make just as many plays as the highly recruited guys were. We all know Wisconsin is a special place, right? It takes a certain type of player, a certain type of talent to really come in there and make some plays and be able to just implement their will and how they can contribute to the program. I do think it's kind of hard because the state that college football is in right now, with as far as the NIL, you gotta as well be able to also recruit certain positions in all these other states, like the Californias, like the Texas, like the Florida. So I just think you have to have a really good recruiting staff, man. They have to be really versatile and being able to go and hunt different talent across the country. Because I think if you look at all the top teams, like, I know we got a lot to get into, but I mean, you look at even like Indiana, Nebraska, like those bottom tier teams that I won't call them bottom tier because they weren't bad at all when I was playing in the Big Ten. But you look at just where they are now, is like they're getting all the top players in certain positions, which I think is where we're going to have to adjust, get used to, taking that next step and kind of just getting along with where this whole NIL thing is with college football.
Right. I mean, with Cignetti, Cuban dropped $50 million in his pocket and said, here you go. I hope that helps. And then they shut down the student newspaper. And then Cuban was livid on social media that they did it after they got his $50 million. But the Badgers, I don't know who those people are, right? I mean, they have people that are running powerful companies all over the country. There are a lot of very successful alumni. Now, they may not be, in their 20s or 30s running companies, but there's a lot of gray hairs all over this country running successful companies that can write checks for their companies to put money towards this. And why they're not getting that money or whatever the case may be, I'm not quite sure. But a key component in Badger's success, dating back to Barry Alvarez up until this point, goes back to what you said, which is I can get a 2-star kid or 3-star kid and they'll come play. But a lot of that was development of the coaches, right? Strength and conditioning, position coaches, and so forth. With all due respect to this coaching staff, who has gotten significantly better in the 3 years they've been there, Sojourn?
And that's the tough part right now, because if you go sit in a kid's front in his living room, right, with his parents, all of us have dreams and aspirations of getting to the next level, which will be college football and then getting to the NFL. And you're sitting there and you're saying, who have I developed so that I can sit there and tell this DB out of Florida or, you know, a receiver from Ohio who has the opportunity to go to Ohio State or Indiana that's letting the ball fly and have a competitive shot at pursuing and turning that kid to come to the University of Wisconsin. Right now, I mean, we haven't developed anybody, and I don't want to step on, anybody's toes there, in the building. But I look at even a situation like he's one of my favorite players that I've got a chance to interact with. But look at Rico, right? Like Rico 2 years ago was an All-American cornerback, led the country or tied the country with interceptions. And then you just look at that whole process that has taken place from that year until now, and it's kind of it's a funky situation, man, and it's kind of bad as well. So I just think it's super hard when we haven't developed the guys, and also we're going up against these schools that are developing players, they're putting players in the NFL. I just think we're in a really, really tough situation and tough state, as far as football wise in Wisconsin. And I know a lot of guys feel the same way. Like we really have to take a big step into next year. And I know we kind of felt that way last year coming into this year, but let's just be honest with the schedule that Luke and that staff was going to have to face, especially with where we were at last year. You knew kind of that stretch that we're on right now was going to take place. But at the same time, we still wanted to see progression. And I think in some of the areas that we wanted to see improve, we haven't seen improved. And I think that's why so many people are upset.
Tyler Sojourn Shelton, the second former Badger DB. Money Down Pod. Follow that on Twitter or X at the Money Down Pod. Follow Sojourn on X at _SDS8. SDS8. I got a question for you. When the Badgers recruited you, what was the sales pitch? And why did you pick them over other schools?
The sales pitch was I had an opportunity to come in and play right away. I get the year before I was coming in, they had Crow leaving, D Smith leaving. I had the opportunity to come play, and as a kid from Florida, again wanting to go to the next level. That's all. As long as I can put myself in a situation where I can get on the field as early as possible and actually contribute, I think that was the biggest sale pitch. And then also for me, just being from South Florida, I had never seen fall weather. Like this is my favorite, time of the year, just from going to school.
You're still in the Midwest. You didn't move back to Florida.
No. I moved back to Florida.
You didn't want to deal with the snow and all of this?
No, the snow part, no. But around this time, I love it. It's 50 degrees outside,
Yeah.
So that was kind of a thing for me. I just wanted to see something different and something new. And then also, the education, right? You can't go wrong with a degree from University of Wisconsin, which we can talk about because now I think, just with everything and the climate of how things are going, is there a difference? And I want to ask you, right? Do you feel there's a difference in degree level from Wisconsin to Indiana, right? Like it could be, it could not be. And I think that's the tough part. Like the degree, the education part can't really be the strong sale pitch anymore because you can now also go to these other schools that are competitive.
Correct.
And have just as many alumni and members and CEOs and are able to be successful outside of football. So now you got to come with something else.
But the interesting part of me was it wasn't about the Badgers winning for all those years prior to you coming there. That wasn't even part of it. So for me as a Badger fan, I'm kind of not as down as I was because they suck. But you're saying, even though you're not any good, if you go to a kid wherever and say, hey, man, you can come in, we'll give you the opportunity to play and so forth, that could still be good enough to get some good quality kids to come in and play at Wisconsin. Is that what you're saying? Because I want to put words in your mouth.
No. What I'm saying is 10 years ago that worked because we also developed guys, right? Like you look at Cromartie got a chance to play in the league. You look at Smith, look at Finellis, right? Got a chance to play in the league. So for me looking, it was like, okay, well, yeah, I'm going in a little bit of unfamiliar territory because I've never been, anywhere in the Midwest, but they have people that have done what I am trying to do, which is get to the next level. And I'm not saying that we haven't had, but it's been a drought a little bit on, right? For instance, you go in the corner, like who's the last corner for us to really have a shot in the league? Maybe Goose and Fayon. Like, we're talking about those guys being 3-4 years in the league now. And Rico is going to have his opportunity and his chance, but it's not as strong as these other schools like Indiana right now, who potentially has one of the best corners in college football. Penn State got a good secondary. Ohio State secondary is known for. So all of these things come into a factor when you're sitting in the living room with a kid and trying to get him to come to your school. And now it's just not in a good.
How would you approach the quarterback situation? And I know you're a corner, not a quarterback, but we all agree the quarterback has to be decent, at least, if not better than decent, in order to compete. You could have an average quarterback, but a kick-ass running game and a great defense and still win football games, whether it's the NFL or college football, whatever the case may be. But they've been hunting in this portal now for the last 3 years, and call it bad luck, whatever. Every quarterback they bring in seemingly gets hurt, and that's the end of it. But at the same time, you're then not developing anybody because the kids you're recruiting are then transferring out, seeing the writing on the wall that you have no intention of developing anybody, and they're leaving. So that also has to be something that I think has to be addressed at this point, because you're not Alabama, you're not LSU, you're not these programs that are going to get the cream of the crop in the portal if they decide to go that way.
Well, I think we have gotten decent quarterbacks in the portal. I mean, like you hinted to just now, we've had really bad case of injury issues when it's come to that position, and I think it's so hard to overcome because we all know to win in college football and at any level in the sport of football, you got to have a good quarterback. It all starts with him up front as far as leadership on offense. Leadership and taking that locker room and being the person that has to get all the glory when everything is good, and also has to be able to take all the heat when everything's bad. And as far as just what we can do, I mean, at that position, it's just tough. The injury bug has extremely affected us. Maybe bring in, instead of one, extremely talented guy, which I thought that we did good with grabbing this past season going into now, but Henry Edwards, we might have to go out and get 2 or 3, right? And just be able to have guys on, back up or standby just in case we keep running into the issue that we have every year, which is our quarterback being hurt, and not just hurt, 1 or 2 weeks. We're talking about significant season-ending injuries.
Yeah, no doubt. Talking with Sojourn Shelton, the second, former Badger DB, Money Down Pod. Follow him on Twitter @_SDS8. Let's talk about the Badger family and where it is now. For so long, we kept it in the family, right? Guys that played, came back, coach, or were on the field, on the sidelines, pulling for their guys, and so forth. How has that changed under Luke Fickell, Sojourn?
It's changed tremendously. And again, I'm never the type to want to step on, toes. Again, I totally understand different regime. Guys who coming from different schools might not understand, that whole Badger family and Badger community that's built. We always talk about Wisconsin being a special place. The guys that put on that Motion W, being able to come, being able to feel like when they do come back that it feels like home. And I don't think that is just there right now. I do want to give Coach Fickell and that staff some credit. They're walking into a situation where they had to take on a lot, right? Taking over from Coach Chris. Everybody knows or doesn't know the whole situation that happened with, some guys wanting Coach Leonard there and all that stuff like that, who was a Wisconsin guy. So it was a lot to come into, but I just think, moving forward, and that should be something that's extremely important to, this staff or whoever else in the future does come in, just getting back that Wisconsin culture and that was built on these guys, like, the Sitchies, the Melvin Gordons, the James Whites, all these guys should all feel wanted and should feel at home when they do come back to Wisconsin. And I can't say that everybody feels that way. You see what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong. There's some guys that, I'm sure the red carpet is rolled out for when they do come back. But I think it should be like that for all Badger players that put on that motion W.
The other thing I'm curious about, how often are you guys reached out to help in recruiting? Say if somebody's down in your neck of the woods in Florida or whatever else, hey, Sojourn, hey, man, we really like this DB. Can you help talk to this kid or whatever else? How much of that happens? Just be honest. Your smile. That is not happening often.
No, it's
You're
not.
On YouTube, I can see you now, Sojourn.
It's not. And I've had I would say I was 1 for 1. I think me and James kind of worked on Xavier Lucas.
Okay. That's why it's sideways and he came back to you. But okay, yeah, that counts though. That was the one guy on the roster that literally could have been an NFL player, or so we thought when he was here at Wisconsin. That kid was super talented.
Yeah, and we see how that ended up turning, which I don't have I don't know the details that happened and came behind that, but that's the only guy that that I've been reached out
kind of involved with. Yeah. See, that's the thing that I don't understand, man. Like, you've got all of these guys that have had NFL experience or played at a high level, played in bowl games, have all these stories to tell about their time at Wisconsin. They're scattered all over the freaking place around the country. Why not use some of those guys to help you get some kids in here going forward? To me, it just makes all the sense in the world. Like, I would use the heck out of if I had a kid down in Houston. Yeah, you're damn right. I'm using J.J. Watt to my advantage. Absolutely. If I want an offensive lineman in Wisconsin, yes, I'm using Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas was working out with the offensive lineman 1 day a week in the offseason as it was at Wisconsin. So use him to help you get some of these Wisconsin offensive linemen so they don't go to Notre Dame or they don't go to Ohio State. And that family thing, man, like I'm curious. If this goes sideways with Fickell, do they go back to the family? Because obviously, Jim Leonard. Well, Eck is one of the guys that people have talked about and going and bringing him in. He's been a successful college football head coach at this point. Leonard is another one, but McIntosh has to go because he ain't coming back for Chris McIntosh, Sojourn.
And I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth. And again, I don't. Who knows, right? Jimmy might come back with McIntosh there, but
no.
If I had to, if I had to put my cards all on and my chips and my money all on, Jimmy not coming back with McIntosh.
Yeah. I mean, Jason Eck makes the most sense, and he's at New Mexico right now. That makes the most sense to bring him back and put him in that situation. Now, would he come back in the situation? I don't know, because if at the end of the day, everybody looks at this and says financially they can't keep up with the Joneses, and you're going into a situation where you're not in a position to be successful, I don't know how you get somebody that has any type of credibility to come in here and coach this thing.
Keeping up with the Joneses was the perfect example. When you talking about Oregon, NIL king, Ohio State, NIL king,
yep.
Nebraska, NIL, great NIL. Who else? Indiana now is a top team as far as competing with in every aspect of football. Penn State, right? And I know it's a little bit going on over there, but they're gonna always be able to get players and be able to compete. I mean,
SMU is spending a ton of money.
Yeah, SMU, Texas Tech. I mean,
yes.
I was trying to name teams in the Big Ten, but all over the country is teams that have changed their program within 1 or 2 years due to what the climate of college football is now, which is you have to spend the money. So I think, again, it's all falling back to when this whole NIL thing became extremely important. We either got to get with the times or we're going to be in the spot that we're in for a long, long time.
I like that you came out with me, Sojourn. I appreciate it. Next year, 26, no Oregon, no Ohio State, no tough teams. 27, same thing, right? Now you have Notre Dame next year at Lambeau, but outside of that, we're talking Big Ten Conference. Those are back in your day when this team was good. Mm-hmm. These are all winnable games on the schedule in 26 and 27. So if Fickell comes back, they have to at least be a bowl game with 7 or 8 wins. Otherwise, I don't see how he survives past next year. You can give they have the toughest schedule in college football this year. He's had hurt quarterbacks and so forth. But if they decide to let him come back one more year, I think next year, that's it. Like, either you take a huge step forward or it's over.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you talk about the schedule next year not being tough. Don't get me wrong. This schedule is This schedule is extremely brutal. But the stuff that I think like players like myself and in the Badger community, that the Maryland game, that hurt.
Yes.
You know, Iowa 37-0. Like,
see, they weren't even competitive. That's the thing. It's one thing to lose. It's another thing not to be competitive. This Oregon game was the most heart they've shown in weeks.
Yeah, and if you look at the last time we played Oregon, which was what, last year? Like, they played Oregon extremely tough last year at home. So it's the games that it's the Iowas, it's the you know, the Rutgers, it's the Maryland. Like, those are the games this year that we were expecting to see. All right, like, that's what we got to compete in. Iowa trophy game, that's the game that we got to compete in. Minnesota, when, you know, last game of the season or in a couple weeks, those are the games, those trophy games. Nebraska, I don't know if we play Nebraska this year, but trophy games, we need to see improvement. And I just think, you know, 37-0, like that's the game that's kind of hard for me to kind of like wrap my head around.
You've got Washington left, who is probably the most winnable game possibly. Brett Bielema, Illinois, are going to smoke you because it's Bielema, and he's going to run it up if he can. There's no way they're beating Cignetti in Indiana. That's not going to be fun. And then you end the year against that little twerp Fick, or what's his name? The idiot coach at Minnesota.
TJ.
Fleck. Yeah, Fleck. That guy at Minnesota. That game, do not lose that game. You're going to lose the rest of them, fine. But to have your only win come against Fleck in Minnesota, it would make me feel a little bit better about the season, if nothing else. Just don't lose to PJ Fleck. Sojourn, thank you so much for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it. Take care. There he is.
At all. No problem.
You betcha.
Appreciate you.
Take care, but it's Sojourn Shelton II, former Badger DB on the Money Down Pod. Follow him on Twitter at _SDSA. Joins us on the Wisconsin Sports Daily, Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios. I'm all screwed up. Can I start over?
Sports Radio Network.
Guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. I can talk. Okay, take a quick time out. Come back. Thanks again to Sojourn. Do former players view the modern NBA and Giannis correctly? I'm not sure if you've seen on X, there is a Mount Rushmore pod live cast.
It's called Rushmore on X.
Right, Rushmore on X. And it's former NBA players like Shaq and Reggie Miller and those guys talking about different things. Well, they did one on power forwards. And we're going to play a little snippet of that for you coming up and get your thoughts on that straight ahead here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Potawatomi's giving away over $300,000 in prizes. It's autumn action. Yep, you heard that right. Over $300,000 in prizes, courtesy of our friends over at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Autumn action runs November 1st through the 20th, and you can earn entries playing with your rewards card. Prize drawings happen on Thursdays between 5 and 8 p.m. If you win, you get to pick your prize from the prize board. All leftover prizes go into a rollover jackpot drawing. For more info, go online at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 years of age or older and a reward member to play. And then when you're over there, hang out at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, make a couple wagers, have some great food at the Potawatomi Sportsbook kitchen, all-day brunch, all that fun stuff. I'm telling you, best place to watch sports right now, by far in the Midwest. Okay, let's talk about this podcast, show, whatever you want to call it, that they have on X right now. And you're saying it's called Rushmore on X is what they call it, Charlie? Yep. Okay. So today they did a show, Shaq, Reggie Miller, Ben Persky, and Ari Emanuel. Those are the four voices. And they were talking about the top four power forwards of all time on what would be like their Mount Rushmore. So clearly, Giannis, you would imagine, would come up in this conversation, and this is what it sounded like.
And I'm putting another current player. I'm putting Giannis on there.
I'm done. Are we done here? Can we go?
Is he a power forward?
Are you kidding me right now, Ben?
Hey,
Come on, man. Are we done?
Am I getting chased out? Am I going to get a score on my...
Are you going to eat that paper?
No, he's different. He plays powerful, but I don't know if
he's a forward.
He's a forward. No, I think he's a three. He's like LeBron. He's a three, and
he's a 7'3".
I would put him as a power forward, but I wouldn't put him on this list.
Way.
Okay.
One.
Are you kidding me right now,
No,
Ben?
I'm not kidding you.
See, this is the problem I have here with this generation. This generation's
I'm pretty close to getting fired from the show. So.
Oh my God. Ja, and then. I love Giannis. I would say this: if Giannis would have had another championship before this, I would have.
He's talking championships.
Is he a power forward though?
Yeah, he's a power forward. He's not a small forward because he can't shoot.
This is not a crazy answer. Like you guys are
treating
like I'm
power
insane.
Forward.
And you got me insane, Shaq?
He's a power forward.
I know he's a forward.
If he's a forward, do you think I'm crazy?
Forward. I didn't say
no. But I'm saying if he is a power forward, do you think I'm crazy for that answer?
Yeah, too early.
Too early. Listen, I'll get down with too early from Shaq. Reggie Miller hating. I'm not even remotely surprised about Reggie Miller hating on Giannis. Not even remotely surprised. Kevin McHale and Giannis? Stop it. Stop it. Kevin McHale was damn good in his generation. Absolutely. You cannot even remotely put those two dudes in the same conversation now.
It made me laugh every single time I listened to this clip.
Kevin McHale?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not Kevin McHale. The question is this. Do former players view the modern NBA and Giannis correctly? Nicolay Law, talk to text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, on the socials at WI Sports Radio. Steve Sparky, Fifer with you, Charlie using Chicago Charlie, other side of the glass. Okay. It's very difficult to compare different decades of basketball or different decades of football or different decades of baseball to a certain degree. Baseball, depending on how far you go back, the mound height is different and things change over the course of time. Just like now in baseball, the bases are bigger. So you start talking about stolen bases on a year-to-year basis and so forth, and pitchers can only throw over so many times. The numbers that you're putting up here going forward should not be compared to numbers that were in the 80s when none of this applied. Having said that, you cannot look at Kevin McHale and look at Giannis and say there's even close to being a competition between these two fellas. I don't think Kevin McHale would even agree with you saying that he belongs in that conversation with Giannis. Athletically, and even dominating wise from a block shot standpoint and rebounding and everything else that he does, like there's just no chance. He is dominating in an era where the athletes are far better than they were when those guys played. And I'm all about defending guys in the 80s and the 90s. And sometimes the young guys get very disrespectful of CJJ Redick. of people that came before them. And I don't think there's any reason to be disrespectful like JJ Redick has been. But if we're talking about a Mount Rushmore, I'm not saying Giannis even belongs on the Mount Rushmore. I tend to lean toward Shaq of, let's see him finish his career. Let's see where this ends up before we're all said and done. So I can get down with Shaq by him saying that. The Reggie laughter and ha, 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 you're crazy. That's insulting. That's ridiculous. Like, that should not be a thing. Now, if we go shooting guards, point guards, that's a little more fair of a fight. Shooting guard really hasn't developed all that differently from when Michael Jordan played shooting guard versus when Reggie Miller played shooting guard to whoever you want to say, Kobe Bryant or whatever else. Body size, all relatively the same. Athleticism, all relatively the same. That's easier to compare. But when you're talking about Kevin Garnett and Giannis and these cats against those guys, no, man. Like, that's way too difficult to do in my mind, Charlie.
I think so too. And when you are talking about what the modern NBA is right now, you have to understand that most of these players are playing without a position for a majority of these games. It's really kind of centers playing center, and that's about it. And even those guys are playing different roles than what post centers used to do. And I think that when you look at a player like Giannis, he's the main ball handler. He's a guy who this season at least is being more consistent with his three-point shots. He's taking them a little bit more consistently this season. I just think it's weird that Shaq, who's watched this game for so long as an analyst, Reggie Miller, who's watched this game so long as an analyst post their playing careers, are going to sit here and say these crazy things when they know what the modern NBA is. To say that he can't be a small forward because he's not shooting threes is ridiculous. There's plenty of small forwards that aren't shooting threes. Brandon Ingram is one of the best small forwards in the league, and he barely ever shoots threes right now. If you look at what Giannis is, you can't say he's a small forward, though, because he doesn't play that style of basketball still either. I don't, just players are who they are. They're archetypes now. It's not a position. I think it's weird to have this conversation in general, including these modern players, because again, that's just not what they are.
So take it to the next level, right? So if we're saying power forwards, Tim Duncan has to be on this list, right?
Tim Duncan, Karl Malone, and then we're debating the next few after that.
So then talk about Dirk Nowitzki probably is in that conversation as well. Now, Tim Duncan, you talk about that for a second, the big bore. That dude there was as technically sound in how he played of anybody. If you wanted to put together a tape of how to play in the post and how to stretch the floor to hit threes and do everything, there was nobody more technically sound. Now, did he make a lot of wow plays? No. You didn't tune in to watch the Spurs with Ginobili, Parker, and Duncan because you wanted to see a highlight reel of plays. That's not why you tuned in. But you know what they did? They won a lot, and they won rings at the end of the day. That's what changes everything. So I don't disagree that Duncan is in that conversation, but KG should be in the conversation. If Giannis is in the conversation, KG definitely belongs in the conversation, regardless if you like Kevin Garnett or not. And I'm not a fan, but that man belongs in the conversation as much as anybody else does. Karl Malone, hey, man, that dude's body was physically closer to what we see today in the NBA. And I still don't know if he's as big, but he was a beast as a power forward. And he could do so many things at the power forward position in that era that separated him. Charles Barkley, another guy that you can have that conversation about Charles Barkley being undersized and so forth. But if we're talking rings, Barkley's out. Can't have that conversation. If we're talking rings, Karl Malone can't be in that situation, right? He can't be. If you're saying Giannis has to have two, then how the hell does Karl Malone get into the conversation at the end of the day?
I would say for a Mount Rushmore, when you're talking about that type of analysis and trying to put the top four up there, rings have to count. When you're talking about like the four greatest of all time, which I think is a little bit different than the Mount Rushmore sometimes, I don't know if rings always count as much. I think Giannis just his ability to dominate the game. I've never seen a player like that until maybe what we're seeing from Victor Wembanyama right now. And to watch that has to put him up there, but you also have to talk about, what Dirk Nowitzki did in that finals run and dragging the Dallas Mavericks through that playoffs and how much more that means to them than I think some of these other championships or some of these other players like Kevin Garnett doing it with the Celtics and again, dragging them back to the top of the league. That really should matter for the Mount Rushmore. And for that, I think Giannis does take a hit.
No doubt about it. He is Charlie Houston, C Sparky Fifer with you, Nicolay Law. Talking text line. If you want to hop aboard, the former players view the modern NBA and Giannis correctly. Nicolay Law, talking text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. Also on the socials at WI Sports Radio, streaming live on X right now and going forward with our shows, as well as on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, all those fun places. Trav and Brown Deer, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, Trav?
How's it going, guys?
Good.
Sparky, you save us old people, right? When you had Ron on, we got to scratch our heads sometimes.
Sure.
But I'm focusing on this one now. What is a power forward nowadays, right?
What do you mean? What is a power forward? What is that?
Okay, but that's the question, right? Because is Rick Smits back then your
center?
Giannis. Right.
Dale Davis was the power forward of that team, or Antonio Davis.
Okay. To me, Barkley is definitely a power forward.
Yep.
Who else? Barkley. Barkley and
Karl Malone, Kevin McHale, those
Karl
guys.
Malone. Yep. No. McHale. Yeah. Just a dirty bird, right?
Yes.
But
Dennis Rodman.
He's nope. He was just. He was a nightmare, but no, he wasn't a power forward. Terry Cummings, as we grew up in Milwaukee, is a better power forward than any Kevin McHale, right? You know what?
I don't know about that one. Thanks for the call. That one, I'd have to go to Marcus Johnson on and ask Marcus Johnson his opinion on. Now, again, right, and played for the Bucks, so maybe he would lean TC. McHale was a bad man. I mean, let's not make him out to be Bill Laimbeer here. He was a bad man, but that Celtics team was really good with Bird and Dennis Johnson and Larry Parrish and all those guys. Or
Robert Parrish.
Robert Parrish. Yeah. I always get confused between him and I think it's Lance Parrish was the old Tigers catcher back in the day.
Could not
you
tell
have
you
no
that.
idea the way
that was a deep pull, man.
No, you definitely don't know that one. But anyways, my point is that team was really, really good. And when you have those many guys on it, it makes it hard to differentiate, right? Because you got so many good players on one team, who deserves all the credit and so forth. The other one, the Dennis Rodman conversation, yes, he didn't score, but he's a Hall of Famer, dude. He's like the best rebounder we've ever seen. So from that perspective, no, he didn't score a ton, but does he deserve to be there? The 262 text in, comparing Giannis to McHale is like comparing the rotary phone to a cell phone. Both were highly successful in different eras. I still remember my rotary phone. Doesn't mean I want to go back to it now, LOL. Larry in Tosa. Yeah. I loved my rotary phone that we used to have in our houses as well. We all had rotary phones in our houses. And then you had the old brick cell phones that they used to have that weighed 100 pounds and all of that
I've
stuff.
never had a rotary phone in my household. You can't say we've all had it.
I promise you that you probably have been around a rotary phone when you were younger at some point, whether it be your grandma's house or whatever. But they still sell rotary phones. You can still buy a rotary phone if that's the way you want it to go. 414. Somebody texted in and said he loves Trav. I love this guy. Oh, that's good. So again, I think it's specific. We got to take a quick time out, but I think it's specific to the NBA. I don't hear NFL guys talking this way about their sport. I don't hear MLB guys talking this way about their sport, but I hear it so much from guys in the NBA that played before these guys. It's absolutely ridiculous. Hey, I want to real quickly here get to this from the Dugout Chat on YouTube. Again, you can watch us there at WI Sports Radio. What do you got?
So Turner over in the Dugout Chat says, in terms of pure skill, Giannis is best power forward to ever play. Too early, but only Wemby has the chance to pass him up skill-wise in the long run. The ultimate power forwards, or point forwards, elite point forward over elite power forward any day of the week.
Wemby's going to be the best. I mean, unless he gets hurt. Wemby is going to be the best. Normally we do Charlie Sounds of the Day coming up at 3:40. We'll continue this on. There seems to be a lot of passion from y'all wanting to have this conversation. So we'll continue on with this coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. When the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. They play tonight against the Knicks on NBC. I cannot wait to watch that game. After every Bucks win, stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win. So act fast. Get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's. This is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. See Sparky Fifer here. Chicago Charlie using other side of the glass. Thanks for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Talking about these comments made by Shaq and Reggie Miller on the Rushmore on X podcast that they do. If you missed it earlier, this is Ari Emanuel, Ben Persky, Shaq, and Reggie Miller discussing if Giannis deserves to be on the power forward Mount Rushmore.
And I'm putting another current player. I'm putting Giannis on there.
I'm done. Are we done here? Can we go?
Is he a power forward?
Are you kidding me right now, Ben? Come on, man. Are we done?
Am I getting chased out? Am I going to get a score on my?
Are you going to eat that paper?
No, he's different. He plays powerful, but I don't know if
he's a forward.
He's a forward. No, I think he's a 3. He's like LeBron. He's a 3, and
he's a 7'3".
I would put him as a power forward, but I wouldn't put him on this list.
Okay.
1.
Are you kidding me right now?
No,
Ben?
I'm not kidding you.
See, this is the problem I have here with this generation. This generation's.
I'm pretty close getting fired from the show. So.
Oh my God, Ja, and then. I love
You're gonna have him over
I would say
Kevin
this:
McHale?
if Giannis would have had another championship before this, I would have.
He's talking championships.
Is he a power forward though?
Yeah, he's a power forward. He's not a small forward because he can't shoot.
This is not a crazy answer. Like you guys are treating me
he's
like
a
I'm
power
insane.
forward. And
You got him insane, Shaq?
He's a power forward.
I know he's a forward.
If he's a forward, do you think I'm crazy?
Forward. I didn't say
no. But I'm saying if he is a power forward, do you think I'm crazy for that answer?
Yeah, too early.
Too early is fine. I have no problem with Shaq. The Reggie Miller discourse of laughing and saying, I'm going to leave. No. That's disrespectful. Like, if I was Giannis, I'd take that and I'd make that my ringtone. Make it my ringtone. You don't need any more motivation than that. And when Reggie Miller comes up to you on NBC and says, hey, dude, we got to do a pregame interview, you're like, hey, here's my number. Call me real quick. And then let him hear your ringtone. I'm good. And walk away. That would be the extent of my conversation with Reggie Miller going forward if I was Giannis. Johnny, north side of Milwaukee. You're next in the Nicolay Law Talking text line. What's going on, Johnny? Do you think former players view the modern NBA and Giannis correctly?
If you don't have Giannis as on that route, Mount Rushmore of power forwards, then it's incorrect. That's just my opinion. You can't base things just solely off rings and stuff like that. You have to take the whole picture. Otherwise, Robert Horry should be number 1. Something like that. You have to look at everything, and I base mine off what the team, that player's longevity with that team, the whole situation in the era of basketball that's played. And whether it was that the old era combined with this era or just this era, you have to tell me who legitimately would be above. Who can? I've never even seen a player like. And me and my cousin was just talking about this. Giannis in the league today. There's 3 special, and I'm not including Luka because I feel like Luka just plays very, very, very good basketball. He's a really good basketball player. But Giannis, Joker, and Wemby. Those 3 right there are just on another just incomprehensible with some of the things that they can do. It's just like, what the heck? And you have to tell me legitimately the 3 other people that's better than Giannis. Giannis is a god. He's a god right now, man.
Well, I mean, Tim Duncan is going to be on that list for sure.
Yeah,
I don't think there's arguing Tim Duncan. And then after Tim Duncan, you can have the other ones. But if you're saying it's about championships, which is what they're insinuating, then Karl Malone does not get on that list if that's about championships.
I agree.
At the end of the day, he doesn't get there. Kevin Garnett has a championship. I don't see how Kevin Garnett is not on that list either. Right.
Not over Giannis.
Yep.
Not over Giannis.
Maybe not over Giannis, but over Kevin McHale's and those type of players, I think he definitely has to be. Thanks for the call, Johnny. I got to roll. We're up against the break here. I appreciate it. Coming up next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Time for your green and gold update. We're going to talk about the Matthew Golden selection. Was that pick really as needed as much as we thought it was when they made the pick at the draft in Green Bay? That's next. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, streaming live on X and on YouTube.